So welcome back to my messy accordion bench here. I am putting the fabric here on my bellows to make them look a little nicer. I know they don't look great right now, but all of this is going to get covered with bellows tape. So I'm going through and thought this might be something interesting to make a video about. So I've created all of my fabric strips. So I took length of fabric and I cut them to the right width, and then went through and I did all of these triangular cuts here because doing that once they're on the bellows is real tough. Didn't like doing that at all. So then I've kind of got just a little tray of some white glue here and a big brush to lay it on. So we're going to lay on some glue and put it in place. We'll see if this works. So I found it's pretty important to make sure that glue gets all the way to the corners because I want these corners of these fabric strips to stick there. So I want to make sure my fabric is facing the right way, so I've got my lines lined up. Usually just kind of lay it up there and then try to get it centered, and sometimes I got to slide it down one way or the other. But I want these corners are real important right now to me, making sure that all of that lays where it needs to lay. And we grab another one. I'm usually doing 2 at a time, make get up to 3 or 4 at a time, but for the video here we'll just do a couple. So getting that centered. Fabric's a little more forgiving than paper, and then any overhang or anything left over, I'll come back and I'll trim that later. But the most important thing for me right now is just to make sure that all the green is covered and that makes it down to the corners. So I'll do a couple more. You may do it differently, you may have a better way. That's cool. I may have a better way tomorrow, but this is just kind of how I'm doing it today, and so far so good. So just get some glue on there, grab my next fabric strip, make sure I got the lines where they need to be, center it in there. Slide it where I need it to be. Make sure it's down everywhere. Pressing in where it needs to be pressed in. Grab another one. So this glue has got a pretty long setup time actually. It stays wet for quite a while, so that means it takes longer to get these dry, but it gives me a long time to mess around in here and make sure I've got it exactly where I want it before I walk away. So once that's lined up right where I want it to be lined up, then that's it, and I'll come back and I will trim it up later. But that's the way that's been going, and so far so good. So I'll come back with another update.